Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're taking a really fascinating look at professional paths.
That's right. Specifically, how you navigate those big career choices.
Yeah, especially when there's, huge external pressure trying to push you one way.
But your own passion, your internal compass, is pointing somewhere completely different.
This deep dive is really, for you, the listener, if you ever felt that tension, trying to shield your own goals in a really high-stakes environment.
We've been digging into the story of Inya. She's a scholar who went from the incredibly competitive Henan education system in China.
Right, the ultimate pressure cooker.
Exactly. All the way to landing an assistant professor job at a university in Hong Kong. It's quite a journey.
So our mission here is kind of twofold. First, we want to trace that unconventional route she took, choosing her passion, international politics, when everyone was probably telling her economics was the safer bet.
Mm-hmm. And second, we want to explore this really surprising and honestly quite painful lesson she learned really early on.
About the real cost of emotional interference,
Sure.
especially during those critical moments.
Precisely. And the central hook here is, well, it's powerful. She did achieve her academic dream. She got the professorship.
Right. Success by many measures.
But looking back, she strongly believes her foundational opportunities were sort of limited.
No, so.
Because she feels she let a single high school teacher's emotional, sabotage really derail her performance on the Gaokao.
And maybe we should clarify the Gaokao for listeners who aren't familiar.
Good point. It's China's national university entrance exam. It's basically this one massive test that pretty much determines your entire university path and often your career trajectory after that. Huge stakes.
Okay, so let's unpack that starting point. Henan, 2006, high school, liberal arts student. What was that environment actually like?
Grueling is probably an understatement. The schedule she described, it was intense.
Like how intense?
6.5 days of study per week, starting at 7 in the morning, and they weren't dismissed until 11:00 at night.
11 p.m.
Yeah. And even on that half day off, Sunday afternoon, they were encouraged to do self-study.
That's almost unimaginable pressure.
It is, but interestingly, she did point out a positive side to it all.
Oh, what was that?
She said that sheer high-stress environment actually forged what she called revolutionary friendship, these really deep, lifelong bonds.
Ah, okay. So that shared struggle created connection. Makes sense.
But that same intensity, that pressure cooker, it also set the stage for a pretty significant conflict for her personally.
Right, you mentioned the teacher. How did that unfold?
Well, in grade 11, she was doing great, top of her class, ranked first or second.
Okay, flying high.
Exactly. But then came grade 12. The key class system meant top students merged, and crucially, lots of repeat students, those retaking the year for a better Gaokao score, came in.
So the competition level just skyrocketed.
Massively. Her rank dropped to maybe 8th or 9th, still good, but a drop. And then came the new homeroom teacher.
The one she had issues with.
Yeah. She described him as, sexist. Said he was constantly criticizing her, undermining her confidence.
And just her.
That's what she felt. She recalled boys who were scoring much lower, like 25th or 26th. They were basically left alone. But she felt consistently targeted.
Ugh, that sounds awful. And the impact.
It was pretty devastating for her performance, especially her morale. She became really unhappy. Motivation just tanked.
And this led up to the Gaokao.
Yes. And in that crucial exam, the culmination of everything, she got her lowest ever score in Chinese.
Wow. In her best subject.
Her best subject. Think about that. Years of work distilled into this one exam, and her strongest area is where she falters, largely, she feels, because of this external emotional weight.
That's tough. What's really striking, though, is her reflection now. Years later, successful academic. How does she see it?
She has deep regret. Specifically regret about letting someone she was literally about to say goodbye to forever have such a profound impact on her future.
That perspective of time.
Right. She wishes she'd recognized it back then for what it was, emotional manipulation, gaslighting. She uses the terms PUA or CPU, sort of modern slang for that kind of toxic dynamic.
And this really feels like the core lesson here, something that applies way beyond the Gaokao context.
Absolutely.
Her regret isn't just, oh, I wish I got a better score. It seems to be about losing that sense of agency right when it mattered most.
Exactly. She literally said she felt she did not fully utilize all her talents because she gave too much weight to this temporary toxic relationship instead of focusing on her own performance.
So the takeaway for Well, for all of us, really.
Yeah.
Whether you're facing a big exam, a job interview, any high-stakes situation,
Yeah.
it's that protecting your own mental space, your focus, from that kind of external sabotage,
Yeah.
it's just as critical as the actual preparation.
Couldn't agree more. And that emotional interference, that lower Gaokao score,
Yeah.
it directly led to the next phase, having to choose within much tighter constraints.
Right. Because that score meant the absolute top-tier universities in China. The Tsinghuas, the Pekings, the Fudans,
Hmm.
they were just off the table for her.
Instantly impossible. And remember the context we mentioned, Henan province.
1 million test takers that year.
1 million. Competing for a very small number of slots at elite schools. So every point on that Gaokao mattered immensely. That a lower score really narrowed her options.
So where did she end up applying and getting in?
She got into Shanghai International Studies University, CSU, which is, a fantastic university, especially for languages and international studies.
But very selective, wasn't it?
Incredibly selective. From Henan that year, they only admitted 15 students total. 8 in science streams, only 7 in liberal arts.
Wow. So getting into CSU was still a major achievement.
Definitely. But once she was in, the majors available to her were limited because she wasn't in that absolute top Gaokao score bracket.
Okay, so what were her choices then?
Things like finance, economics, some intensive second foreign languages like German or French.
Okay.
Then there was international politics.
Ah, okay. And this is where the passion versus pragmatism thing comes in.
Exactly. Her parents, very understandably, gave the practical advice.
Go for finance or economics. Get a good job straight away.
Precisely. That was the standard, sensible advice, especially for that generation in China. Secure employment was key.
But she didn't go for it.
Nope, she really dug in her heels. She wanted international politics or political science. She called it a childhood love.
A childhood love. That's quite a reason to defy practical advice in such a high-pressure situation.
It really speaks to how strong that internal pull was for her. It's a key point. She didn't get her absolute top choice university, but within the choices she did have, she fought for her passion. That was non-negotiable for her.
That's a critical distinction. Choosing passion within constraints. So, political science it was. What does that actually entail in the Chinese system? Is it similar to here?
Yeah, largely. She explained it follows the sort of American model. 4 main branches: international relations or politics, political philosophy, domestic politics, like research specifically on China, and comparative politics, studying other countries.
Okay, so she followed that intellectual spark. How was the atmosphere at CSU once she got there?
Very diligent, she said. Especially the language students, they were incredibly hardworking. Up at 6 a.m. for early morning readings.
Wow, still intense then.
Definitely rigorous. But she did mention feeling a bit of a gap intellectually.
How so?
For someone really drawn to social sciences, political theory, she found there wasn't a huge culture of debating core social issues or deep philosophical questions among her peers.
So lots of hard work, maybe more focused on practical skills like language fluency, less on theoretical discussion.
That seemed to be her impression. Rigorous, yes, but maybe lacking the kind of sufficient nourishment, as she put it, for deep social science engagement.
Okay, so that intellectual hunger, maybe feeling a bit unsatisfied, that sounds like a perfect setup for thinking about grad school.
Exactly. Which brings us to Section 3, the move towards research in Hong Kong.
What prompted that specific jump to Hong Kong?
Well, her university, CSU, apparently had a strong study abroad culture. Lots of students went overseas, mainly US, Canada, Australia.
Okay, so it was common to leave mainland China for further studies.
Yes, but her reason for choosing Hong Kong specifically was, well, wonderfully quirky.
Oh, not purely academic.
Not initially, no. She said she was just obsessed with Hong Kong TV dramas from when she was a kid.
Seriously, TV dramas influenced a major academic decision. I love that.
Right. It just shows how sometimes these really personal, nonlinear interests can be the actual drivers, even for serious academic paths. It was a cultural fascination first.
So that cultural interest led her to look into Hong Kong universities for graduate studies.
Exactly. And when she started looking, she had to navigate the types of programs available there.
Right. What were the main options?
Generally, 2 types for postgrad. There are top programs, usually 1 year, lots of coursework, more professionally oriented, maybe no big thesis.
Okay. And the other?
Research programs. These are longer, typically 2 to 3 years for a master's leading into a PhD or straight PhD. They absolutely require a substantial thesis and defense. It's the dedicated academic track.
And that's the path she chose. The research one.
Yes, she went for the research master's, essentially the PhD track. It's harder to get into. You need a good CV, a strong research proposal showing you have potential.
But it usually comes with funding, right?
That's the key advantage. Research track spots almost always include a scholarship or studentship that covers tuition and living costs. Top masters usually don't.
So this decision, it wasn't driven by, say, job prospects, but purely by this.
Her inner calling, as she put it, a genuine interest in doing research and becoming a scholar. And crucially, her parents were supportive.
That's important. They didn't pressure her to go out and earn money quickly.
No, she mentioned they were supportive of her pursuing this research interest, which gave her the freedom to actually do it.
That family support seems vital. Okay, so she embraces this path, the idea of becoming a scholar, which leads us neatly into Section 4. The actual reality of that life, especially at a fast-paced place like Hong Kong.
Right. Because I think many people might romanticize academic life. Tweed jackets, quiet libraries, endless time to think.
Yeah, the freedom aspect.
Exactly. And there is a paradox of freedom. She noted, there's no strict 9 to 5 or 9-9-6 clock in culture. Like in some industries, you don't necessarily have to be in the office at 8 a.m. You can often work from home. Sounds flexible.
That's pretty good, actually. But there was a but, isn't there?
There's a big but. She immediately followed that up by saying the demands are incredibly intense. Her sort of motto for it was stark: scholars have no vacation.
Oof, no vacations.
Meaning the work is always there. The hours required are huge. She was very clear. Trying to get good results by just putting in 2 hours of work per day, it's simply impossible.
Because the work is intellectual, self-driven.
Yeah.
It doesn't just switch off.
Precisely. She described it as all-pervasive wu, yingbu ru. It seeps into everything.
How did she explain that?
Like, she might be cooking or spending time with family, but part of her brain is still churning over a research problem, an article idea. The line between life and work becomes extremely blurry.
That sounds exhausting, actually. Especially for junior faculty, right? Trying to get tenure.
Absolutely. For an assistant professor on the tenure track, the pressure is immense. If you look at how they're evaluated for promotion and tenure, there are usually 3 main pillars:
HR.
research, teaching, and administrative or community service.
Okay, makes sense. But is the weighting equal?
Not usually, especially at the junior level in a research-focused university like those in Hong Kong. For an assistant professor aiming for tenure, research is absolutely paramount. Everything else supports that, but research output is key.
And that means publications, right? Getting papers out.
Exactly. It often boils down to metrics. How many articles have you published?
Yeah.
And crucially, where did you publish them? The quality and ranking of the academic journals are incredibly important.
So pressure to publish in specific, high-impact, often international journals.
Intense pressure. Getting papers into those top-tier, sometimes called T1 journals, that's the main currency. That constant demand for high-level output is what really defines the job, much more than the perceived flexibility.
So the freedom is really just the freedom to work constantly wherever and whenever you need to.
That's a good way to put it. The flexibility is in how you meet the relentless demands.
What an incredible story, though. From that Henan pressure cooker, fighting through the Gaokao aftermath, navigating university constraints,
All driven by this childhood love for political ideas.
to now facing the intense intellectual pressures of the tenure track in Hong Kong. It really is a powerful example of choosing your heart's desire, scenes Suengyang, like she said.
Finding satisfaction even when the reality maybe looks quite different from what you might have imagined as a teenager.
Definitely. But it's impossible to ignore that shadow from her high school years, isn't it? That seems to be the lesson she really wanted to share.
It really does. She circles back to it. Still regrets not being perhaps tougher internally, not shielding herself better from that teacher's negativity, that emotional abuse.
Because she believes a higher Gaokao score could have changed everything.
She wonders about the infinite possibilities it might have opened up. Getting into Tsinghua, Peking may be a completely different initial trajectory. She found her path, yes, but feels she had to navigate a narrower channel because of that early interference.
She overcame it, but it cost her options.
Which leaves us with a really critical and I think universal question for you, the listener.
Okay.
We've seen the potential long-term cost here. Letting temporary emotional stuff, external negativity, compromise a fundamental opportunity. So thinking about your own life, your own high-stakes moments could be an exam, a big presentation, a career change. How consciously are you working to protect your own focus, your mental state, from that kind of external toxicity or emotional sabotage? Is your preparation just about the content, the knowledge, or is it also about actively safeguarding your own agency in that moment?